1990s to watch the mutton birds rafting on the channel, and also to watch the helicopters, who in those days used to drop smolt into the pens. It was such an exciting thing to do back in the early 90s. Little did I know the crisis that was unfolding and looming. 20 years later, we never see mutton birds. My now 22-year-old son goes out snorkeling and comes home empty-handed. There's no flathead, there's no crayfish, and there's very few abalone. In a box that someone has.
Yep.
How so, well, Mother? Earth, of course. Message us in her own ways to keep watch, lest what we love so might be taken from us, and from so far below. Did her voice drift in exaltation at the same ease in which she drifted in our mother's tranquil crystal seas, oblivious to all about, above, beyond, as though she had discovered Eden's pond, and I, the intruder, knew her as a saviour of it that belongs to all of us, as it always has been, that as she drifted into my lens, she would become the messenger for her time, without more than an utterance of sheer delight of her pristine world below. Her love of it will go to all places where mother's skirts do flow and ebb and hush and sigh, a continuum of the ancientness of plaintive seabirds' cry, that should we turn to it, the folly of blind eye, then something precious to her and us will most assuredly die.
the endangered become more threatened. Will the children still come to play if paradise is lost? So tell me this, how are salmon pens going to go out in this stuff?
They won't survive. They won't survive at all. They'll be all up in Reeds Beach and Oakhampton. It'll be shocking.
What sort of conditions can they actually take?
Oh, they wouldn't be able to take... Look, they can take storm conditions, but in a shallow bay like Oakhampton...
The campaign's going to go?
Look, I think it'll go well. We're getting a lot of support, a lot of financial backings, a lot of people from various parties. We're a political party. We're not a green movement by all means. There's Liberal members, Labor members, so yeah, it's going to go well.
Are you getting support from the professional fishing industry?
Yes, they're coming on board. A lot of them don't want to talk. Various reasons, because they're sort of funded by the state government, but yeah, they're coming on board, which is good.
Rightio, so you think conditions like this, which are unprecedented in my lifetime, will help you in your campaign?
Well, I think Tasmania will have to have a look at what they've got out here, because there's a big swell and it'll decimate the pens, definitely.
Is there a place for the industry here if they put those pens on land?
Definitely, most definitely. That's what we're pushing. Denmark, Ireland, Scotland, British Columbia are all doing that. Yes, definitely.
First time I've ever been half drowned doing an interview. So what brought you all the way from Hobart to here?
Well, I arrived last night. We stayed at the pub to get the river mouth for surfing first thing in the morning.
Well, there have been massive, massive waves here for the last 2 or 3 days, which I've got good film of. Who
Right.
told you about it?
Oh, well, just watched and talked to friends, and I knew it was going to be on, but
A lot of people travel a long way to come surfing here. What's so special about it?
well, it doesn't break very often. It's a nice long ride. It's a left-hander. I'm a goofy footer, so
Right. So it's sort of pretty famous little area, is it?
pardon?
Pretty famous little area?
Yeah. Well, the river mouth, the wave itself is famous, but it only breaks like once a year, or not like this, but that high every few years. It's
Right.
unusual.
So when you hear about it, you drop everything and come down.
Well, yeah.
Good stuff.
His size. Look at that. His size.
Of course it's got like
We're going to chuck it back. We've got a little measure around. It's the size one like this. If anything, Dad, it's bloody good bait.
What are you going to do with the bloody thing?
Cook it. Cook him.
Tell you what, take it straight down the road and give it to the Spiros. But
Exciting times, Poppy.
yeah, it is. Hey, aren't they supposed to be about that big and in a bottle? Quickie happy with the way it went?
Yes, fantastic turnout.
Where does it go from here, mate?
We've got that motion to put forward to Rockcliffe, and then we'll circulating a big groundswell of people obviously from today with emails. Next plans for a big rally, so yeah, it's all in full swing. Fantastic effort today, fantastic.
If I could have my way, what I'd love to be, a bird that dips and sings and sails across the sea, on sea wings, sea wings.
Out of Spring Bay, Triabana, sea caves, sea folk, sea birds, sea wonders, where the sea rules, Sea Wings. Welcome aboard Sea Wings 1. As we make our way through the slow zone for the next few minutes, we'll give you an overview description of your chosen trip destination, the Maria Flyer. We'll round the lighthouse and head north to the spectacle of the hen and chicken granite features that rise up out of the deep on the southern tip of our famous Freycinet National Park. The only access to this isolated and beautiful region is by sea. On the way, we hope to pick up a dolphin escort, which can appear in these waters at any time of the year. It's also the place where whales visit in their long journeys to and from the Antarctic. We'll be keeping a good lookout for you.
Sea wind on feathers, watch it caress your hair. Come to my kingdom, a kingdom we all share. Sea winds, sea winds.
On the return journey, we'll call into the biggest seal colony in this region, at Ile de Folk, referred to by locals as White Rock, by extreme divers as the Great White Rock. Ile de Folk is the home of fur seals and nesting pairs of sea eagles. Keep your eyes peeled on our approach, for they'll be watching us from their lofty, rocky, cliff-edged perches.
You ride the ocean, I move the air. Sea wings are soaring, one spirit we share.
Depending on the sea, we'll be entering one of the islet's immense sea caves, big enough to swallow our boat 10 times over. Our next trip point will be at Ile de Nord, a lighthoused outcrop painted white by time and its masterful inhabitants, the cormorant community. This is on the northern tip of Maria Island, where we'll get a close proximity view of the magnificent seascape dominated by the massive, often misting cliffs and mountains of the Maria Island National Park. The Darlington settlement, where political rebels and fellow convicts of yesteryear and latterly failed business entrepreneurs left their footprints, will be next visited, as we make our way beyond the erosion-etched painted cliffs, through the marine park, round Lachlan Island, a mutton bird sanctuary, and head home to our home port, Triabana. Make yourselves comfortable as your Sea Wings 1 master gets us onto the plane for what we hope will become a memorable Maria Flyer journey.
Why would an east
How could you? Why would you? If, should you, then sink, should you, to the bottom of all of the order of things. Then why not the mother who painted the canvas and touched it with diamonds return to her easel and with the ease of brush swirling paint out her order of wings, silence the music and shadow the waters, and leave us in yearning and never returning, our children a wonder at why we allowed it, a monster in Eden, rewriting the poem without rhyme, and hearing the echoes of lament by the seashore of once upon a time. How could you? And that question is now being posed by many. Given the legacy of fish farming in its relative short history in Australia's island state, how could it be permitted to expand its despoilation of the marine environment into Orford, the gateway to this state's prized natural tourism asset, the East Coast, where birds on a hot wire symbolise the council's attitude to its ratepayers. But not all councillors want the fish farms, and some have turned up today as a show of support in a recent survey of opinion that will find its way to Tasmania's upper house.
Get it going.
Well, look, when it comes out on the database, it'll wow.
From how far away have they come, Don? From how far away have they come, some of these?
Well, we've got one return on the computer from Alaska. And it's a copy of one of their forms.
One such attendant today is yesterday's familiar face on issues related to safeguarding marine waters from poachers or anyone who might harm it. For more than 2 decades, his marine police teams patrolled his never-ending watch. What's your view of the concept of fish farms on the east coast of Tasmania?
I think it's a travesty, absolute travesty, but particularly the way they've done it. No consultation with the locals at all. And I'm particularly annoyed at the Lord Mayor, the way he's treated
The residents.
great players.
I thought he might have been here today.
He was invited.
He was invited,
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
but declined. The main point of your opposition to this concept of
Tasmania over the years has spent a lot of money on fisheries protection, and it's been quite successful, particularly with abalone and rock lobster. And here we are placing a further hazard on the environment, which is going to negate all that good work.
Do you think it'll destroy the fisheries in this region in the long term?
Oh yes, it'll certainly. Look at the Quarry Harbour and the Doncaster Channel. It's obvious to anybody.
And until his last breath, it seems, Ron Massey will speak out against anyone who will do it harm.
For those who don't know me, you probably wonder why I've got involved in this, but the first thing I'll say is welcome today.
And so too, yet another veteran, whose voice for decades has checked the elected in protection of the rights of recreational fishers. Don Payton of Wreckfish Tasmania, working in concert with all groups and individuals opposed to salmon pens on Tasmania's east coast.
Affiliated bodies representing the Furno Recreational Fishing Group, West Coast Sport and Recreation Association. I could name a lot of them. But we are not a fishing club, we're a political group that looks after the interests of recreational fishers. Currently our board of directors is made up of
all councillors of Glamorgan Spring Bay were invited to attend the end of the survey gathering. 3 were conspicuous by their attendance, others by their absence, including the boss, the mayor. Don, essentially one question. Was the mayor invited here today?
Yes.
What was his response?
He wasn't interested in attending such a meeting.
Ron, what's your view of the concept of fish farms on the east coast of Tasmania?
I think it's a travesty, absolute travesty, but particularly the way they've done it. No consultation with the locals at all. And particularly in order to Lord Mayor, the way he's treated the residents. Great place.
I thought he might have been here today. Mike Kent was elected on a promise policy that sprang from the secrecy surrounding the arrival of Tassal fish farming at Orford and Triabunna. As mayor, I will put every major development on the table. As mayor, I will consult with professional planners who know the rules of Beauty and the Beast. Our region must have sensitive development. Everything goes on the table. He described his new home as paradise, agreeing that huge polluting industries belonged well and truly in the past.
Don't you back no mill, no mill, no mill, no mill. Hit the road, Dave. Don't you back no mill. Hit the road, Dave. Don't you back no mill, no mill, no mill, no mill.
But this big business influence on governments and local councils is really part of the political lobbying landscape across the entire face of suffering Mother Earth, where in other countries science and conscience is exposing dangers to the marine biota.
Say about it anymore, you know? We're not allowed to know. They're in public water. We're the public. We should be allowed to know. But nobody knows. I guarantee you nobody has access to these fish and how to look. Now, the Union of BC Indian Chiefs have written a letter to this company requesting samples from this fish. So we'll see what happens. see for myself what the scientists there had to say. Was this virus connected to heart and skeletal muscle inflammation? Flying into the coast of Norway, it looks a lot like BC, complete with salmon farms dotting the inlets. This is the birthplace of the industry. Well over 90% of the farms in BC are owned by Norwegian multinationals. Now that I was here, I needed to find the scientists.
And within a very short time, he capitulated on a promise to keep fish pens well clear of marine estuaries.
Travel all around the fucking world. We've got the fucking best of the best view.
We have. Don't have to go anywhere.
No. Trouble is to take it for granted.
Yep. I don't.
And perhaps Michael Kent, a publicly confessed Christian, also should indulge in appropriate philosophical reflection on this matter.
More than once, Council has closed Spring Bay to bathers, where sewage spills have contaminated the waters. Can we expect the excreta from almost 1 million Atlantic salmon just around the corner not to drift inwards on the tides, not to be dispersed to the far reaches of Great Oyster Bay, even into Little Swanport oyster leases? Where will it all end? And these are the questions that are rising from those who cherish this region and are marching against it and want answers. But so far, their questions are being swept away by what some people see as dictatorship, arrogance, and apathy. Stand by, folks. This is just the beginning.
We're not allowed to know. They're in public water. We're the public. We should be allowed to know. But nobody knows.